Yeah.
Is it happening?
I think
Is it real?
We're now live.
Is it real?
Yeah. And it is 45 minutes on the clock, so we are now actually bang on time. There we go. Right. We just had a palaver where we hit the going live button and it sat there on the going live spinner for like 30 seconds, and then it said there was an error and logged us out of YouTube Studio. And then LastPass wasn't signed in either, so we couldn't log back in, and we were like, so are we live or not? Who knows? So yeah.
We might be here.
Yeah.
Someone is present.
Everyone makes the always late jokes, but like we're never more than like a minute or two late kind of thing.
Unless something has gone catastrophically wrong.
It's pretty late. It's pretty rare that we're not live by 10:02.
Yeah.
That's a pretty rare occurrence, I would say. And like, yeah.
What we could do, just to really annoy everyone, is just set it up so it auto goes live just with a black screen, no microphones, precisely at 15:45, and at some point will turn up.
Yeah. We were technically live, yeah. I mean, you could actually just set that up and just have a stream starting soon screen. Because like we don't do the whole stream starting soon thing, which is the standard for Twitch. But that's mainly just because we don't really need to.
Scream starting soon.
Yeah. But like also like, yeah, part of the whole deal of us going live at 1:45 is just so, you know, like we kind of mess around, but we usually actually start doing something by the hour. Right, just as an FYI, everyone, I've got a splitting headache that has come on this afternoon, so I'm tired and headachy, and now I have to stare into studio lights for the next 2 hours.
It's okay, it's okay. We can turn all the lights off.
Or just do a dark stream, yeah. Yeah.
Illuminated simply by the gentle glow of a screen 45 foot away.
Yeah. I'm not even hungover this time. That's the worst bit. Like last week got cancelled just because I had the mother of all hangovers.
You'd have thought by now, at your age, you'd have learnt.
Yeah, that was very much I knew at the time that I shouldn't drink more, but I was like, who cares? You know, what's the worst thing that could happen?
What the worst thing that can happen is you no longer an 18-year-old.
Oh, I don't think being an 18-year-old would have protected me from that, to be honest. Well, maybe a higher. Well, I've never had a high alcohol tolerance, so no. But yes. At any rate, yeah, we're not going to be here all afternoon anyway, because in addition to that, we've got to go and pick up a car this afternoon. So, and
literally lift it off its wheels, put it on brakes.
Well, I was going to say, considering someone's probably robbed my rims by now, non-zero chance. Because yeah, I bought a new car. I bought a new car on Monday. Not a brand new car. I brought a second-hand car on Monday, but just as the way that everything shook out, I couldn't get a lift to go and get it. So I drove my old car there, looked at the car, agreed to buy the car, bought that car and drove it home, leaving mine parked on a street in the town where I bought the car. So my Subaru has just been sitting street parked in this random village for the past week, just hoping that no one looks too closely at it. So yeah, once we wrap up today, Caradog's going to drive me back out there so I can just go and pick it up again and get it home. But yeah, solutions were required, and at the end of the day, it was a solution to the problem that I had, where I had a very narrow window to pick up a car and no lift. So I'm like, I'd just leave my one there and go back for it at some point. So yeah. Did it come with a seat, or is it a Seat? There's a joke in there somewhere. So yeah, but yes, I bought a Seat Leon Sport Tourer.
There is zero chance the Subaru's been stolen because it would not have started.
It might have. It vexed me terribly on last Sunday when I needed to drive it up to see family. I knew I was probably going to buy this car on Monday, and I was like, right, this is like the last time I'm probably going to depend on this car. I came out. I left on time. I walked out my flat on time, got in the car, turned it over, and it went. And I was like, okay, we're going to need the booster. Not surprising. old car things, you know, like even if the battery was charged, I'm pretty certain that it has a voltage leak in it somewhere, so it just slowly discharges the battery. So I lean around the back to pick up my booster battery, you know, my jump starter. The cables are there, but the battery itself isn't. I'm like, where the heck is that? And so I rummage through the car looking for, and I cannot find it anywhere. And I'm like, where the hell is it? Like, it lives in the car because that's where it's needed. And I'm like, what on earth have I done with it? And I'm like, maybe I took it in the flat to charge it because it you know, like it hadn't been charged in a while. So I went back in the flat, looked around the flat, can't see it anywhere. I'm like, nope, okay. So I go back out to the car and I'm like, okay, let's see if the battery's recovered a bit, you know, because it's a mixture of the battery being low and the engine being cold and not seized, but sluggish because it hasn't been run for a week or two. So I try it again. It goes, you know, I'm like, okay, almost. It's trying, but it's not quite there. I'm like, okay, fine. And I look around, I look everywhere. I look at, like, I roll the seats forward and check under the seats and everything. You know, I check in all the pockets. I check in the glove box where it wouldn't even fit. I look in the boot. I lift up the bottom of the boot to check down the spare footwell. Like, because if it's not where you think it is, it has to be somewhere where you don't think it is, right? You know, don't see it anywhere. I'm like, okay, well, where else could it be? And I'm like, okay, I went to the LAN party a couple of weeks ago. You know, maybe it got mixed into one of my cable bags there. In which case, the last remaining bag of cables that I took to that LAN party is in the shop. So I'm like, okay, I've got to go to the shop. So I send a message. I send a message to my middle sister saying, "Going to be late. Car doesn't want to start. Car trouble. You know, I'll get it sorted." And I walk to the shop. So it's a 10-minute walk to the shop. And I arrive here, I go to the cable bag and it's not in there. And I'm like, this was the only possible bag it could be in. I check all the counters anyway, it's definitely not there. And I'm just like, must be in the flat or the car then, because it's not here. So I'm like, all right then. So I walk home. So I've now just burned 20 minutes just walking to work and back, you know. So I walk back up to the car, and I look in the car, it's not there. I go into the flat, I look in the flat, it's still not there. And I'm like, right, it is lost. I do not know where it is. Forget the charger. I do not know where it is. What am I going to do? Okay, let's just try it one more time out of desperation because it's had 20 minutes for the battery to recover, you know. So I get in, I try it again, and it starts because the battery is recovered and the engine is loosened up, and it goes and it splutters into life. And I'm like, good. Yes, okay, right. Hit the road, we're off, you know. So I'm like, all right. I pull out and I roll out onto the road, and I pull away. And as I'm coming around the corner, I turn the corner and the engine goes, and I'm like, okay, it's low on fuel. It's really low on fuel because it just starved when all the petrol sloshed to one side. I'm like, okay, that's reasonable because the last time I drove it home, yeah, I ran it really low on fuel because I just wanted to get home and I haven't been to the petrol station. And I'm like, that's fine. The fuel station is literally across the street from me. You know where it is. I roll out onto the Tesco roundabout. I pull away onto the roundabout and it dies. And I'm like, okay, that's not old car things. That's not a flat battery. That's just out of fuel. And like, I turn it over anyway. I'm like, literally, you need to get 20 yards to the petrol station. And it's going, and I'm like, the battery's fine. The engine is fine. It's just out of fuel. And I'm like, oh! So I'm out the car and like people are beeping at me. I'm like, trying to push it to one side, you know, and all the rest of it. And I'm like, ah! And I'm now an hour late to get to family. So I bin it onto a curb and I walk up to the petrol station. I have to buy a fuel can, fill it with fuel, walk back to the car, put the can of fuel into the car, then throw that into the boot, start the car, take it down the road, spin it around, come back up, back into the petrol station, fill up the car, pay for fuel again, and then I'm away. But my morning from hell wasn't done yet, because now I'm going up the A303 now, heading up toward family, and obviously I'm kind of fuming because I'm like an hour late, and like I'm never that late to go and see family. And the other thing as well is like I'm bad at like bringing cards and presents to birthdays and stuff, but my rule is like I show up kind of thing. Like I will always show up. I don't flake out on family gatherings. I'm not, even though I'm like an hour and a half away, I'm never like, oh, I'm busy, or oh, it's a bit far just for a casual meetup kind of thing. I'm just like, I always show up at least. That's the least I can do. And so yeah, I get up there, and so I'm in my brain. I'm like, right, we're going to my middle sister's house. That's Bracknell way, you know. So I'm on my way, and just as I'm passing, and like I pass the Hook exit on the M3, and the Hook exit is closed. I'm like, weird, that's closed. And then I'm like, wait, I'm not going to my middle sister's house. I'm going to my eldest sister's house, who's in Basingstoke, which is back the other way. So because Hook exit is closed, I now have to drive up to Farnborough, spin it around at Farnborough, and drive for another 10 minutes the other way. So I've now lost another 20 minutes. And then I get off, and then I finally make it an hour and a half late, you know, and I arrive and I open the door, and you know, my sister's like, hi Graham, and I'm like, I'm so angry, I'm sorry, you know. So yeah. So yeah, that was my Sunday, and so that was the thing. I'm like, that was almost the worst part of it. Is none of this was the car's fault. The battery was fine, the engine was fine. The whole deal was just that it was out of fuel. If it had had fuel, it would have started. So all of that fuss, or the jump starter, the walking to work and back, all of the faff. Then the car dying on the roundabout, it was all because I hadn't put fuel in it. So obviously my family's been giving me shtick for my car for a while, and I was like, after all of this, it wasn't the car's fault. It was entirely my fault. And so I was so angry. I was so mad. So yeah. So anyway, that was, yeah. So, but that was the last time I needed to drive that car up to see family, and I'm just like, okay, I've now bought a sensible modern car, which touch wood is now going to be all I need it to do. It is a nice boring modern car that will just spank it up and down the motorway, which is all I need it to do, and actually be relatively comfortable along the way.
Just actually have to remember to actually put fuel in it.
Yeah. Well, the other thing as well is I knew that the Subaru was low on fuel, but also the low fuel warning light is more of a guide, really, you know, because on these old cars, it's like, you know, it's like a weird like little resistive strip or something in the fuel tank. So it doesn't just the low fuel light on that car. It doesn't just come on when it's low on fuel. It sort of comes on a little bit. It sort of drifts in and out, where it's just like, think the fuel level's kind of low, but I don't know, man. When was the last time you filled up? You know, so it's not really great at telling you that there's no solid like, no, seriously, you need to go to a petrol station kind of thing. It's just kind of you're kind of low on fuel, you should probably fill up soon kind of thing. So in my defense, it's not always clear when you're like at critical fuel level. So yeah. What Subaru do I have? It's a Legacy RSB. So like, you know, for anyone who's just like, sounds like a shitbox, it's like, no, actually it's an incredibly rare Japanese twin turbo car. There is a handful of them that left on the road. It's in poor condition, which is my fault for not maintaining it, but it's actually a very rare and special car, and I'm heartbroken at having to get rid of it and throw in the towel, but enough is enough. I do not have the time or money to give it the attention it deserves. So yeah, incredibly rare fun shitbox, pretty much, yeah. Right. Yeah, so that's my story. But yes, then now it's sitting in a random village north of over Salisbury Way, just on a roadside somewhere.
Do you remember where you parked it?
Yes, I do. Yeah,
Good.
That's the main thing. Like I did ingrain it in my memory. I was like, right. I probably should have actually like dropped a needle on Google Maps just to make sure, because like there have been times where I've actually gotten as far as dialing 101 because my car was just not where I thought I'd put it. That was when I parked in. I went down to Portsmouth one time to see a friend, and
But that's Portsmouth.
Yeah, but I parked it street side. But it was just one of those roads that's longer than you think, and it looks completely the same wherever you're standing on the road. So I'd walked a fair distance down this road and be like, no, I must have parked it by now. And I'd gotten as far as, I'd gotten as far as just calling 101 and going, I think my car's been stolen, I cannot find it. And like, I was having visions that someone had just like rolled it onto a trailer and driven it away kind of thing, you know. And the person on the other end of the phone was just like, okay, right, I'll start taking some details, but while I'm taking some details, just keep walking up the road, you know. And I walked up far enough, I'm like, okay, I found it, I'm really sorry, thank you very much, goodbye. You know. So, but again, that was Portsmouth, you know.
I remember I was with my dad like 20 years ago, and we were walking back to a car after being at the BIC. And we go onto a road, walk up the road to where we had parked the car.
Yeah.
Except the car wasn't there. And it's where we'd parked the car because that's where we always park the car. We always park the car there in that position when we go there in the evening for the concerts.
Yeah.
Fine. Then we go.
Yes, 101 is the non-emergency police number.
And then we go, Dad, you didn't drive us here tonight. We got a lift.
Yeah. Man, force of habit. Did you have a lift lined up to get home?
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
It's just the fact that we both stood where the car should have been because it would have been where we'd parked it. And then we went...
So did you just have a friend somewhere that was just like, where the hell are they, you know?
Yeah. It was just like...
all right, well, there's our hilarious stories. So yes, at any rate, though, yeah. So we're not. I'm going to try and keep the timer at no more than 2 hours today, because it's about 50 minutes to go and get the car, and I'm aware that I'm stepping on Caradog's time even more so than usual by making him drive 50 miles up the A303 so I can pick up my knackered Subaru. All right. In the meantime, while we talk about stuff and things, I've got some laptops that need reassembling, and I've got and this PS5 needs it's overheating. So we basically just got to take it apart, clean it out, put it back together again. So I'm going to start doing that while we talk about things.
I enjoy Si's input on this.
Yeah.
On this topic. My mum has a habit of driving places, then walking home and not realising until the next time she needs the car that it's not there.
Yeah.
I guess if you live somewhere that's like just on the edge of walkable and like you're used to occasionally walking places, I can see how that happens.
Yep, so I thought I'll just lower this down. I've just realised I've probably just lowered it off of shot now, but whatever. We're going to go to bench cam when I start working on this anyway, so yeah.
Yes.
Right, are you bringing the jumper pack? Yes, I will bring it with me just in case. It should be okay. Normally, 1 week is fine. After a week, it will start without problem, especially if it's actually been run, which it had done. But the problem is because I walk to work, I can go for 2 weeks without touching my car easy. And like when you've got a 96 car, so it's a 20-year-old. Hang on a sec.
No.
96, 2006, 2016. Yeah, nearly 30 years. So it's actually more like 26, 27 years old. Yeah, it's a 96
Graham.
car. Look, the 90s were last decade.
No, Graham. How is a 1996 car 26 years old?
Oh, 23.
29. Because next year is 2020.
Yeah. Look, I was guesstimating in my brain. Look, fuzzy logic. Anyway, the point is, it's nearly 30 years old. If you don't start a 30-year-old car for 2 weeks and it's been left out in the elements, it doesn't like starting. That's just old car things. So yeah.
Fuck's sakes.
Anyway, brain do be buffering. Yes, like I said, I do have a monster headache. I mean, it's not that bad. It's starting to ease
logic.
up. Yeah. Well, Sleepwalker, let's see you do maths with a headache on stream while trying to remember how to take the side plates off of the PS5 at the same time. Right. Is it up or down? I can never remember. It's down. Oh, hold on. No, it needs a judicious tap. There we go. Yes, this is going to elicit dust all over me as I take this apart. Delicious. Oh, dead skin. Yeah, pretty much. Alright, I'm going to just actually... You know what, actually? I'm going to quickly just blow this out with the... do we want the glory?
No.
Oh, you're no fun.
I want you to go outside. I want you to go outside and deal with the dust properly, like a professional.
Well, I was just like, well, surely everyone wants to see all the dust in its glory when we take it apart first. Mute me, please.
No, I will deny the people. They will receive no such satisfaction. But I will not be covered in dust. Oh, also I should probably mute you. Oops. There we go. Graham is suitably dosed on the pain medication. Should fill some jars of dust bunnies, buy 4 items of merch and receive a 3 jar. There we go. At least I remembered to mute you before you started squeaking.
God. Which side is it? That side.
I got one of those little, like, handheld battery-powered ones.
Oh yeah, I keep meaning to buy one of those, but I keep forgetting to stick one on my AliExpress orders.
I am amazed as to how effective it is.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't believe you. But also 150,000 RPM go burr, apparently.
Yeah. Like, I don't know how good the airflow is on them. So like, if you wanted to dust out like a big ATX computer, I think the big mains one is going to do better just because of the volume of air.
Yeah.
However, if you have just a fan or a laptop or just a nook or cranny or like your keyboard, I think they're brilliant for that.
Yeah,
I've not actually used one yet, but that's what it strikes me as them being really good for.
Yeah, it was enough for, the old office cases I had. It was enough for kind of knocking all the dust out of that and out of the standard Spire cooler.
Yeah.
But also, yes, beats 1,000 cans of compressed air.
Oh, yeah. Like, it should go without saying, but if anyone is still using cans of compressed air, for the love of God, get an electric one. I mean, honestly, even if you've still got an actual air compressor, like a big with a tank air compressor, I would still say get an electric one, to be honest. Because I've still got my old, air tank air compressor. And yeah, just the electric ones are just so much better for dusting stuff out. Obviously, the tank air compressor is going to have its uses. That has a much bigger... That can build to a high pressure that can actually like drive tools and stuff like that. But also that's just not what you need in a computer shop.
Yeah.
So yeah. It looks like a World War II bomb. Yeah, it does, yeah.
About as rusty.
Probably, yes.
And the bout is filled with water.
It should be empty at the moment because I left it empty and with the valve open, so it should be okay. Yeah. Huh. I feel like those are T12. I don't actually have a T12. Still, that should do. Anyway, I'm going to carry on taking this apart. You can dust your shop with a tank compressor. This is true. You can also use it to put air in car tyres. Yes, and I've done that. I used to do that. I don't do it anymore because I used to do that in the old shop, because with the old shop, I could actually, where the compressor was situated, it was in the back room and there was a car park directly adjacent. So I could open the window and throw the hose out the window.
That window opened?
It did, yeah. Or I could take it out the back door,
Yeah.
which I think I did more often, to be honest, now I think about it, but whatever. The point is I could get out there and do my own car tyres.
It was
and
also
I had the
just
adapter for
It
it.
was also just a case I was just like, ha, it opened.
Yeah. However, here, the air compressor is not in a useful location, so I can't do that, so I just take it down the petrol station.
For the sake of £1 twice a year kind of thing.
Exactly that, yeah.
Oh, is that something you've got to look forward to with your car? You now have to replace all the tyres.
The tyres are... Yeah, so the tyres on it are all fine. Like, none of them are due for replacement, but they're all... previous owner was just like honest family man. It's been an honest family estate that has just banged up and down the motorway, taking kids to university and back and stuff like that. And it has been serviced, and like just once a year he takes it to the same local garage who does a service on it, oil change and stuff, and they put Shell oil in it, and every now and then it's had 2 new tyres on the front or the back and stuff like that. So like nothing in it is like performance or anything, and the tyres are just whatever that garage used to fit.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of in that mindset of like, part of me is immediately like, right, cool, let's get some Goodyears on that. But also I'm like, that's going to cost me another 400 quid, and it's not a sports car, you know? So like when I replace the tyres on it, yeah, I'll get Goodyears, but the tyres on there are perfectly good. So I'm like, honestly, right now, I'm probably not going to. That much being said, I think the last MOT it has an advisory for cracking on the tyres. So I think one of the either the front or the rears, I think, are getting a bit old, and that was an MOT advisory. So if they tell me to replace those, then I'll be like, cool, okay, we'll get some new tyres for it. But I'm not in a rush to slap new rubber on it unless it actually needs it.
It doesn't have insert generic ditch finder pros here.
I see. The problem is that's going to be really hard to tell because, like I said to you earlier, you know, when I drove it away, there was an initial culture shock of just driving a very modern car versus my Subaru, and in the context of the tyres. I said to Caradog earlier on, when I pulled out of the village that I bought it from, the first thing I did was just light up the front tyres trying to pull out of this junction because it was pouring with rain, and I forgot that I didn't have four-wheel drive, because my Subaru would have just gone out of the turning, whereas this one just went, cheap tyres in the wet, front-wheel drive, and just spooled them up, and I was like, oh, okay. How do I pull away now? What do you mean I can't just dump the clutch? You know? So that's the thing, is a lot of it I need to figure out how much of it is just me being unfamiliar with the car and how much of it is just the car actually has bad tyres, you know?
Yeah.
But, they should be super common cheap. Yeah, they're 17-inch rims, so tyres will be cheap. 17 is the sweet spot for
That's something I certainly
cost.
hate about
modern
cars now. It's just the fact if we're pushing 21, 22
real
inch rims on standard cars.
Yeah.
I'm like,
and like 18 and
go
up
away
is
with that.
18 and up is where tyres start getting really expensive.
Yeah.
Whereas like, 17-inch tyres, I'm expecting like 90 quid a corner for Goodyears, whereas as soon as you go to like even 18s, it's probably more like £120 a corner. And like when you have to buy 4 of them, that adds up real fast,
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's also just a case of obviously you're getting smaller and smaller tyre walls.
Yeah, and that's that's the thing, is just
it's like,
there's no comfort anymore.
I understand it from one perspective, because sure, the big wheels look cool, quote unquote, but it's also the case where I'm like, but there's a balance.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Really skinny tyres are awful for ride comfort.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, don't get me wrong, I do think thinner tires look cool up to a point.
Yeah.
But yeah, 45 profile tires, like, 17-inch, like that size that Si just said, the standard 17-inch what size is 1745 225. That's a really comfortable tire that is just thick enough that it just absorbs bumps in the road, which means your suspension isn't having to do all of that work, you know. So yes.
Yeah, always fun seeing BMWs with long tires.
Oh yeah, apparently the run flat tires are awful. Everyone I've ever heard from has said get rid of run flat tires as soon as you can because they're awful. The ones that the BMWs come with anyway.
Yeah,
like reinforced sidewalls, sure. That's just a nice to have. But actual run flat tires, terrible.
I never quite understood them.
Have I got any more screws? I need to take a couple out the back, and then that doesn't actually need to come off. Oh, there's one. I'm kind of doing this in my sleep at the moment. I'm not keeping track of anything, so yeah.
Where are the screws?
Ooh. Here it's time to get snow tires on. Yeah, it never gets snowy enough in the UK to be worth it. If we do get some snow, it's only around for maybe a week, so it's just never actually worth having snow tires. I'm a big believer in all-weather tires. Like, I would never buy summer tires. I would always get all-weather tires, just because we have too much rain. And like, in the dry is kind of when your tires matter the least for the most part. So yeah. All weather is the answer, real.
Yeah.
Does it have an SSD? Yes. All modern consoles are SSD. Why isn't this not splitting apart? Come on.
Does that screw actually hold the plastic on?
I'm beginning to think it might do. I think that does actually need to come out. The reason why I've been resisting it is it requires me to get another screwdriver, which was a lot of work.
Okay. Does it have expansion? The answer is
no. They never do. No one uses the expanded storage. Even though it's actually really easy to get to on a PS5, everyone will just plug in external storage. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that was holding us up. It still feels like oh, there's screw under there. That's what's holding me up. Brain dead today. There we go. Ooh.
This is a PlayStation.
Real. With the disk drive. Yeah, take your junk RAM out of my way.
It's porous.
It's porous. It is. What does that mean?
It means it's got holes in it.
So by junk RAM, we're actually talking about Caradog's like now ludicrously valuable. Like, we're going to talk about this in a minute because, like, remember how we've been doing that testing on like the Intel Core stuff and things like that, and Caradog had bought some fast RAM kits. Like, at the time, we were just like, oh yeah, whatever. We got some fancy RAM. Like, yeah, look, hey, here's some 8200 mega transfer stuff, and here's some 6400 48 gig kit, and like. What are the timings on this one? Yeah, so that's 4800 CL32. Yeah, that's not bad. That's pretty quick, isn't it? You know. And these have just been sitting around in the shop because Caradog hasn't built a DDR5 system yet. And now Caradog came in today and just walked over there to be like, right, do we actually know where these are? Because these are worth like £500 now. So like, I kind of want us to look up on eBay, like, because like. As I just like, you should absolutely sell one of these right now. Like, you're about to build a DDR5 machine now anyway, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to use one of them, but the other one, like, you absolutely should just scalp that shit on eBay right now. So how much could you get to them? Let's find out. Because like, that's just for so long, that's just been like, yeah, we got some fancy kits kicking around. You know, they probably cost £100 each when new. Maybe I guess the T-Crate was probably 150, but you know, no big deal. Now it's just like, you know. It's just it shouldn't be this way, but we have to laugh about it. Otherwise, all we can do is cry.
The answer is...
I don't think you're going to find listings for that specific kit.
No, I was just seeing if someone was.
Yeah. It's also going to be very interesting because one of the big things that I'm curious about as well with RAM pricing is there's what people are asking for and then there's what people are actually paying, because like it's really easy to like we've had this like all week in the Discord.
There we go.
We've had this all week in the Discord of people posting pictures of pricing going like, oh, look how expensive RAM is. And it's like, yeah, sure, like you're very clever. You looked up a really expensive RAM kit on Amazon that's going for like £500 now, but like who's buying it for that? Is anyone actually paying that much for RAM right now? And like right now, yeah, Caradog, give us the numbers. This Patriot Viper DDR5 32 gig 8200 CL38 kit, how much?
£771.70.
Yeah, like who's actually forking out £750 for a RAM kit? Like who's actually stumping up the money for that? That's the problem, is that that's how much people are asking, but like, you know, check the... I'm curious to look at these sold auctions for similar RAM kits or just RAM kits in general and see what are people actually paying. Is anyone actually buying right now? Wealthy businesses that simply need it? Yeah, maybe. Oh man, there's some sold kits there that looks like the sellers didn't know what they had. Oh no, that's early November. Yeah, that's just in time. Also though, that's oh yeah. Yeah, you'd have to look for some similar kits because like a lot of stuff we're looking at is just very, like 8200 is a very specific speed, but all right, I'm going to carry on taking this apart while we talk, but yes. That's the thing, if you've got, like, I've got like 4 6000 CL30 kits at the moment. So like, what are people actually paying for that right now? Because that's the thing, is just if we put it on sale at these insane prices, would people actually buy it? Because this is what happens with a lot of retro stuff. It's really easy to go, oh, look, there's ones listed for X £100 on eBay. It's like, yeah, but is anyone buying it?
Yeah, there's like £235 today for a Corsair Vengeance 7200 kit.
Yeah. 270 byte now. Yeah, what are the solds?
270 byte now for a 6000 CL32 kit.
Oh, that is sold. Yeah.
A sold kit for 6000 CL30 at 350 quid.
Yeah. So like 250 to 300 is incredibly likely.
Yeah.
And like
a 5600 kit for £189.
Yeah. Like I've got this awful moral dilemma on my hands, is that I've got 4 of these Clev kits that I paid £85 for each. And like I could flog them off at 300 in a heartbeat and make bank on that. But then I've got 3 PCs in my shop with no RAM in them. So what then?
Standard Corsair Vengeance.
Vengeance. Yeah.
2x16, 6036, £200.
Yeah. God, it's awful. So like that's the thing, it's just like there's loads of people who are just like, oh, you should sell that and make bank, make that money. And I'm like, yeah, but then I've got these PCs that have another grand's worth of parts in them, the CPUs, the motherboards, the graphics cards, that I now don't have RAM for. So what then? You know? So that's the thing. It's just I'm kind of stuck, and I'm right now. I've just paused things. I'm not in a hurry to sell my PCs because I'm just kind of waiting to see what happens at the moment. Take the money and sell the PC parts to who? You know, like the graphics cards I can probably sell, but you know, who's coming in and buying CPUs and motherboards because they can't buy RAM? Yeah, like the graphics cards could probably shift those because like I deliberately bought more graphics cards this week anticipating a price hike. Like everyone has said that AMD is putting up their prices, so I just quickly jumped onto a supplier. I quickly jumped onto Spire and bought another 9070 XT and 9070 vanilla. No idea what I'm going to do with them. I just forked up the money for them because I'm like, these are about to go up in price. So there is no world where I'm going to lose money on these, you know. But yeah, it's just a question on, it's now going to be a question of who's going to blink first. How long do I sit on this stuff anticipating that the price will keep going up? I think for now, I'm going to just sort of, I actually think I'm not going to do anything until January. Because I just want to see what happens first before I flog off all of my stuff. Wait for the prices to actually like stabilize in whatever the 2026 meta is going to be, because they're either going to stabilize and be at the price that it now is because the supply hasn't changed, or it's going to go up even more. Because like that's another question right now, is just like, you've got these expensive kits, how long are you going to sit on them for before you choose to sell them? So yeah, a couple of people saying, oh, debating selling the 64 gig kit in your system and dropping to a 32 gig kit. Yeah, like if you don't need the extra memory, it kind of feels like you're just leaving money on the table there, you know.
Interestingly, functionally, no one is selling CU DIMMs on eBay at the moment. Like the last one sold was the 28th of November, then the 16th. And it's just like, fair. Surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, people saying panic bought a 5070 Ti because those are going to go up. Yeah. Like that's the thing I've been saying to people over the past week. If you were planning on buying a new GPU in the next 6 months, buy it right now. You know, if you're planning on doing a big PC upgrade, even if you don't buy the whole kit and caboodle, like the motherboard, CPU, and RAM that you planned on, because now the RAM prices are insane, you can't get the RAM anyway, buy the graphics card at least, because graphics cards, you can put that in any system and it will function. So you can at least use that, and you should just get that now. So yeah. Check CEX stock pricing. That's, I mean, I guess they'll be scalping them for everything they're worth.
It's funny because it's all
curious as if they've got any though.
It's probably more worthwhile me selling these kits and keeping the more expensive CU DIMMs than it is selling the more expensive CU DIMMs.
Yeah.
Because there just isn't a demand for the CU DIMMs.
Yeah, that would make sense. I think it's mainly just because a lot of people just like, remind me, what are CU DIMMs again? Because I keep forgetting what the actual deal with CU DIMM is.
They have a clock driver on the DIMM module.
Okay.
So the signal the signal goes into the clock driver and then into the RAM module, and then from the RAM module into the driver, and the driver into the controller. So it means you can have higher frequencies.
Yeah. So it's essentially a clock buffer that stabilizes the clock.
Yeah.
When you're getting into really high frequency stuff. All right, I'm slowly taking this thing apart.
Would you like some DDR2?
Wow, 10p.
50p for a 2 gig module.
Understandable. Have they got like anything that anyone cares about?
Well, it was more just the fact that I was just like, they're still listing that. I like how the
pictures are the wrong way around. Yeah.
Good job. But yeah, apparently they have some laptop RAM, DDR5 laptop RAM, and
desktop though, yeah.
No,
nothing in stock.
Actual in stock.
Yeah, everyone's cleaned them out already.
Where is the tick box for only show me in stock? Oh, there you go. In stock online. There is one kit.
7,200, yeah, for 340 quid. Yeah.
And then there's nothing else.
Yeah, not really surprising. And yeah, like the prices are kind of irrelevant because they've got no stock of anything anyway.
Yeah.
So
that's wild. Their trade-in is 187. Their sell is 340 for that RAM.
What was the trade-in? Sorry,
187.
Oh yeah,
The sell is 340. I'm amazed that it's such a big difference because normally it's actually a lot closer.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I kind of always assumed that that CX only give you a pittance for anything at all.
For like RAM, I'm just grabbing my coffee.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I remembered, I have a coffee.
Yeah, you got another two, yeah.
I'm going to grab my coffee. I'm going to microwave my coffee.
Very well. Okay. Okay. I'm going to mute you while you microwave your coffee. Yeah, SODIMM is less screwed. Going to see a lot of stupid adapters. Yeah. I'm curious as to whether, well, this is kind of the wild thing about the situation we're in, is that it actually is bad enough. Like, it makes you think, like, who the hell is actually going to be using SODIMM adapters in desktop computers? But this is the problem. Like, with the way that Micron responded to this, with basically being like, sort of, yeah, no, we're out. Good luck, everyone. You know, it's kind of a matter, like, yeah, what is going to happen? One thing that is interesting is I was watching WAN show, and it turns out Winbond, who make like SPI ROM chips, so BIOS chips and stuff, Winbond have spun up DDR4 production, which is interesting. That's not DDR5, so it's not really a lot of use, but it looks like some people at least are sort of going, hey, we've got a fab that can do that, you know. So maybe we might see some of the small players.
The perfect time for?
What?
Intel RAM bus. That was a perfectly timed ding.
That ding was incredible, yeah. But yeah. I wonder if we are going to see a resurgence of DDR4 boards.
Just because
especially for like Intel 12th and 13th gen kind of stuff.
Maybe. But also just the case of if Intel is in the situation, if Intel's fab situation is what it is reported to be, that they are struggling to hit 50% capacity use, why wouldn't they use that 50% capacity to just glut some RAM and be like, lol.
I mean, are they set up for that though? That's the problem, because your fab has to be set up for the right process node.
You can make...
It's not like a 3D printer where it'll make anything you want. It has, you know, you have to be tooled for it.
Because Intel, yes. Because they have basically every fab equipment from everything, because they do all of the stuff.
Yeah.
Because obviously they make stuff on everything from 7 nanometer equivalent all the way back out to 130 micron.
Yeah. So maybe they could just retool one of their fabs for DRAM then, yeah.
It's a case of, are we going to see someone contract Intel to make some DRAM?
Yeah. I mean, that might actually be the smart move. This is why this situation is so strange, because like past all of the PC building is screwed, and past all of the hysteria, and past all of the anger at Micron and all the rest of it, it's like, okay, fine, but like, what is going to happen then? Because, you know, like with the GPU shortage, that was a increase in demand and a massive increase in demand from the mining sector, but supply never went away. there was disruptions to supply, but it never went away. This is a fundamental lack of supply, and at the moment, all of the players are currently going. Like for example, I think it was SK Hynix, or it was who is it that makes Phison SSD controllers?
I have no idea.
Yeah, Phison SSD controller. Who makes Phison?
I thought it was Phison.
Yeah.
I thought Phison, the electronics group, Phison, made the Phison controller.
Yeah, no, they're owned by someone. They're owned by one of the big players. Let's pretend it's SK Hynix, but basically, basically the CEO of Phison said words to the effect of, "No, we're not bringing another fab online." And the problem is that if we take SSDs as an example, the reasoning behind it is just these are commodity items, and in the past history, when there's been a shortage and people have bought new fabs online, the shortage has been followed by a price crash, and everyone who invested into a new fab has struggled to earn the money back on those fabs because there was an over response, basically. And so I think this is one of the issues with everyone being like, well, why doesn't someone just spin up a new fab for DRAM? That's actually quite difficult to do and takes a long time to do, and B, if you do that, there's no guarantee that the AI bubble doesn't pop in 6 months and we suddenly have a hard swing back into an oversupply, and then you never make your money back on that fab because the price has crashed.
This is now the perfect... I can't remember the names of the two companies, and I wish JD was here because I know he'd remember because I've talked to him about this.
Yeah.
There are two companies in China that have built their own litho machine, factory, memory technology, and therefore memory brand. And there are two of them born out of the, Great China silicon subsidies.
Yeah.
Whatever, who are making DDR4 on a 19 nanometer node from memory.
Yeah.
Or a 9 nanometer node, I can't remember. A slightly odd size node compared to everyone else, but they're making it and shipping in volume.
Yeah.
And I'm like, now, if they're at that level of being able to do it, now is the perfect time for China.
Yeah.
Because if it's government funded, they don't care about the price crashing afterwards.
Yeah.
Because that means they now own the market.
Yeah. And this is an interesting thing to that note, because and I think the US government should be paying attention, because Gamers Nexus just released a video about Micron dropping Crucial, which, for those of you who haven't watched it, was essentially a 25-minute unhinged rant from Steve raging about the state of the market, which is...
That was impressive, given that wasn't planned.
We didn't plan that. Wow, we are so in sync.
I think we just have similar opinions of Steve.
Yeah, kind of. Anyway, 25-minute unhinged rant, which is not unwarranted, because there is a good reason to be angry at the PC industry right now, the PC component industry, because we were just getting to the point where things were getting good again. You could buy a good graphics card for $200 to $250. You could buy 32 gigs of RAM for about 85 quid. You could buy a decent Ryzen 5 CPU for 100 quid. We were getting to the point where you could do a lot with 600 quid building a computer. 600 to 700 pounds would get you a computer that could game at 1440p medium at least. And that's pretty good going, in my opinion. I think that's something to be excited about. And now it's all come crashing down again. So we've got a lot of reasons to be angry right now. And so, again, Steve's 25-minute unhinged rant was not unwarranted. My objection was that it was framed as corruption in the RAM industry kind of thing. I'm like, oh, okay, juicy. What's this about? And like, okay, so the corruption is because there's always been like price fixing scandals and stuff like that. The main point of the video, which comes in at about the 15-minute mark, which is where I'm going with this, I am going somewhere, I promise. At about the 15-minute mark,
Okay, Steve.
he points out how Micron has received large amounts of money from the US government CHIPS Act, which is targeted at bringing silicon fabrication back to the US market. And so Micron have received a lot of money to do this. And there is a strong argument to be made that they've received all this taxpayer money for now something that the US consumer can't actually buy. So why is the US consumer now bankrolling enterprise space, which obviously is hyper-capitalist, and shouldn't need to be subsidized? Well, okay, the theory there is, well, fine, okay, it wasn't, the CHIPS Act wasn't about consumers, it was more about the political landscape of getting silicon manufacturing back into the US. Fine. But also now, if Micron have basically just turned around and be like, yeah, no, we do not care about the consumer space, good luck everyone, yeah, China's going to make it instead and eat the market for breakfast. Which means, what was the point in any of this? So that, to that extent, yeah, and this is the thing, and I think my criticisms of Steve's video is that it is too much of an unhinged rant and not enough focus on explaining why Micron, in my opinion, owe it to the US consumer to say, okay, actually, sure, the US consumer market isn't as profitable as AI, but we will keep it going as a means of paying it forward. Sure, we make less money there, but we owe it to the consumer to keep that consumer business alive, so to speak. I think that's a moral standpoint. That does not make sense financially, but...
Counterpoint.
Okay, go. Yeah.
Micron is a publicly traded company.
Yeah.
In the US, and probably other markets,
yeah,
there are laws where the stakeholders in the company can sue the company when they believe the company is being fiscally mismanaged.
Yeah.
One of the definitions of fiscally mismanaged is not making profit that they could have made.
Yeah.
Therefore, if Micron sold to the consumers and not to AI, when they could have sold more volume at more price and more profit, they therefore could have been sued because they have not done their fiduciary duty to the shareholders.
Yeah.
And that is a legal case. The consumer does not have a legal case. Therefore, which one are you going to do as a company? The thing that makes you more money and pays you more bonuses and doesn't get you sued, or the thing that curries some favour with a ranting YouTuber?
Yeah. That's entirely understandable, and that's one of the reasons. And yeah,
it's tough, man.
This is one of the reasons why I would criticise Steve for the 25-minute unhinged rant, and why there's lots of conversations that I've seen on Discord where we say sort of, why did a company choose to do this kind of thing? I want to think about their reasoning and their reasons and their considerations, and people just immediately respond and be like, capitalism, greed video, all the rest of it. And I'm just like, you're not wrong, but you're missing the point. A business is like, now I don't agree with this, but it is true. A business's objective is to make as much money as possible. Like you say, they are, in the case of a publicly traded company, they are legally obligated to make as much money as possible. Now, I think a business should make enough money, but from a legal standpoint, they have to make all the money. And that's the thing. So that's the problem. It's really easy to point at these people and be like, oh, it's just because they're greedy. It's like, well, no. Unfortunately, there's more to it than that. And so now we're seeing the symptoms of a corrupt system, which drives them to harm the consumer, because that's what the law requires them to do. Because in this instance, we could say that Micron abandoning the consumer market is harmful to the consumer. So does that, why should we subsidize them if they are harming the consumer by not selling to them? But also, another law in the same country is obligating them to make as much money as possible. So there is a conflict there.
And there is a balancing act, of course.
How do we square that circle?
Because they also have to make as much money as possible legally.
Yeah.
And there are things that they can't do. Obviously, there are things that they can do, and obviously, all of the time, part of the cost is bearing the cost of the fines of doing things you shouldn't do, because it gives you more profit to do the things you shouldn't do and pay the fine than it does to not do the thing. But anyway, but also separately, the other point as well is part of the reason we're in this issue is because of OpenAI signing the wafer deals.
Yes, I will blame all of this on OpenAI, and I'm done being polite about it now.
But OpenAI has purchased those wafer starts for the Stargate project.
Yeah.
The Stargate project, which is the US government's initiative for US AI.
Ugh. Yeah. I didn't know that Stargate was for US AI stuff.
Well, it's not going to be for anyone else's, is it? Because it's funded by the US government and operated by US companies.
Well, yeah, certainly if it's funded by the US government, yes. This is not a private endeavour of OpenAI just simply seeking to grow. If the government is in bed with that, then yeah.
So if they've invested, however many billion it was for the Stargate project, as a part of that, they're going to have to buy RAM.
Yeah.
Therefore, these wafer starts are bought effectively because of the government's AI project.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a case of Micron supplying only AI projects is them doing exactly what the Chips Act is supposed to do, because it's bringing the manufacturing back to America and supplying it for the US government project.
That's it.
So in actual fact, they're doing exactly what they should be doing by all of the acts that they have been a part of.
Yeah, and that doesn't excuse any of this. It doesn't make it less bad, but it's an explanation that makes entire sense.
And it's kind of a case of ranting against it is slightly missing the point.
Yeah, that's it. And as a side tangent, we
I say that not because you should lay down and be complicit with it,
absolutely,
but I'm saying that an unhinged rant about it, saying how it's corruption,
it doesn't address it.
It probably isn't, because in actual fact every part is doing what it should do and is operating as intended, and the problem is these things are operating as intended.
Yes, it's
and we do not like the intent.
Working off of that, you mentioned the term there, wafer starts, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, where you mentioned that they have bought these wafer starts. This is the start of DRAM. They have not bought literal DRAM chips. They have not bought all of the Viper Gaming Patriot DRAM kits to put in their AI boxes. This is unfinished silicon.
It's functionally raw silicon that they purchased.
So
which is the weirdest part of it.
Yeah, well, this is where I was going, because a couple of weeks ago you said how it's just but OpenAI has no means to finish any of these. So what are they going to do with any of it?
Yeah.
Because there was the tinfoil hat theory that they were purchasing this simply to block everyone else out of the market so no one else could get it. If OpenAI, with all of their bedfellows, have got enough compute already to sell to people, they want to stop anyone else from building compute, therefore they become the only game in town. That would be the tinfoil hat theory. So they bought these wafer starts. What are they going to do with them then? Do we know anything more about that?
Exactly. What are they going to do with them?
Yeah,
we have no idea.
I take it there's no more information.
But it's also the case of, apparently, not only as a part of a deal buying these wafer starts, as I said 2 weeks ago, it's buying some of the equipment as well to make DRAM.
Okay, so they bought some equipment.
But not the equipment they would need to finish these wafer starts.
Yeah.
They've just bought old equipment so it doesn't get sold off secondhand.
Yeah.
So there is then a reduction in supply. So everything points to simply an attempt to reduce supply.
Yeah. And that's the problem, is just again, we
apparently.
Well, yeah, that's it. We're squarely in tinfoil territory here. But also, something else that came up. I was listening to Wan's show earlier on today, and Luke mentioned how a while back Sam Altman of OpenAI had said that he wanted to also explore, I can't remember the exact wording, so to paraphrase, sort of financial techniques as well as exploring AI techniques. And, hey ho, a year later we had this crazy circular funneling of money between, all of this circular money sloshing around, where clearly they have taken existing theories of funding and partnerships and circular funding and dialed that up to 11. And so now when you start talking about, tinfoil hat theories about...
you need the clamp for the APU.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, thanks, folks. Yep. Not too late to put that on yet. Yep. Remember, folks, look at what you've got left on the desk, not what you've put in the device. Yeah. So OpenAI were looking into these, financial theories and stuff like that, and we ended up with this crazy circular funneling of money, which is obviously not entirely OpenAI's doing, but it is clearly on a scale not previously before seen.
I don't know who the instigator of it is.
I don't know either. Because OpenAI are involved. I'm nearly done. OpenAI are clearly involved in that, and so the idea that they then say, let's now play with the idea of controlling supply doesn't seem very far-fetched at that point. So continue though.
Because it seems like it would be in Nvidia's interest to do the circular funding. Because if they do the circular funding and get all these companies circularly funding using Nvidia, it means that no other company can get into the space.
Yeah.
It means they maintain a monopoly.
I mean, that's basically already happened just because AMD and Intel's AI products are not relevant in the space in the slightest. Again, paraphrasing Wan Show, just because Luke knows his stuff, Luke was saying how he had been to trade shows where obviously they've got, the latest AI setups there. And they had, what's the name of AMD's AI stuff again?
MI350X and 355X.
Yeah,
is
they've
the
got
current one.
their code name for it, the friendly name.
CDNA?
No.
The Pro graphics cards are the Instinct range.
Instinct, that's the one I'm looking for, yeah. So they had an AMD Instinct set up, just so I wasn't spouting numbers and letters,
Yeah.
So they had an AMD Instinct set up, and they were like, look, it's running on this as well. And Luke said the clear message there wasn't that they were seriously anticipating using it, was that simply to try and send a message to Nvidia to try and keep the cost down on Nvidia's products by saying, we could do this on AMD as well. Therefore, don't hike your prices too much, or we're going to go to AMD. But the reality is, it was there just for that, and no one is actually doing anything on Instinct.
I mean, my counterpoint to that would be obviously AMD's data center revenue hitting something like 20 billion last quarter.
True, but then
so it's just a case of obviously, in the scale of things, no one may be doing anything with it, but it's also the case of it was something like $20 billion worth of stuff is being done on it. So it's certainly growing quarter on quarter. Yeah,
but also though that could include, if we're talking just data center, that can also include just cloud storage and management and stuff like that, not AI per se.
But sure, just a case of the amount it is growing.
Yeah, in terms of enterprise and server space and stuff like that, obviously AMD is very relevant. It's simply Instinct as AI number crunches that are not relevant per se. But also, like, the whole thing is going to be growing anyway because of the sheer scale of the market. Even if you're a tiny player, you're still going to make bank selling just half a percent. I guess. But then Intel
Intel literally can't make money in an AI gold rush with AI shovels.
Yeah, I assume that's just simply because they're still recouping losses on R&D for the products, though.
Because literally no one wants to buy them.
Yeah, which is a shame because they've got very interesting products. But on the other hand, I don't know enough about running an AI data center to know just because something is interesting doesn't mean it's useful. SLI was interesting. It was never useful.
It's like all of the accelerators Intel built into Xeon 6. All of that stuff was
all of these
mind-blowing, awesome stuff in some of that, like the way that they were doing network acceleration and things like that with specific code processors and specific accelerators, or doing certain encryption decryption stuff so you could have on-the-fly encrypted network traffic and things like that. So your CPU could talk to a CPU in another shelf,
Yeah.
go outside of your server, back into your server, and it was encrypted all the way through.
Yeah.
And there was no functionally no performance degradation for that, and just stuff like that. So you could guarantee it's a hyperscaler that you could scale across more than one machine, and
Yeah.
guarantee that that data was that customer's data. No one else was intercepting that. No rogue sysadmin was sitting there sniffing packets.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah. Yeah. That area is just it. That's one of those enterprise technology things where there's all this mountain of fascinating technology
Yeah.
that the consumer never actually sees or has any involvement
Yeah.
with, but is incredibly important to the enterprise space.
And to go with the other thing as well, just Intel Optane, man.
Yeah,
The
again,
consumer space mess they made. I'm like, how the hell did you think this was a good idea?
it's a shame because I think it did tarnish the name of Optane.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing is, this is the interesting
It's
thing.
fine.
Is,
3D exploit memory.
this is the thing is that people talk about how the consumer market is too small and irrelevant, and this is why I find it extremely interesting that Micron have thrown in the towel with Crucial, is that everyone talks about how the consumer space is irrelevant and not as profitable and blah blah blah, but also that is where you pick up mind share. And this is the thing is I think it's a mistake to shut down Crucial because Crucial accounts for a huge amount of mind share for Micron. Like every casual enthusiast knows who Crucial is. That's a big brand that they just threw in the towel for, and it kind of baffles me that they didn't just at least just wind it down and just stick it on idle or something, just put it in park for a
but why
bit.
does it matter? Because you
yeah.
can turn up with any Wohunglo DRAM manufacturer and sell cheap DDR4 or DDR5, and people will go, oh look, this kit's cheap.
Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, that is true.
The
other
only
thing as
space
well,
it matters is when it's Corsair with stupid
Corsair.
RGB.
Yeah. But that much being said,
Because it needs to integrate with my iCoo.
Yeah. The other thing as well, of course, is that there is nothing stopping other integrators from buying Micron DRAM chips and packaging them onto.
Other than the fact that
consumer
Micron
RAM.
won't be selling them.
Well, they will though.
Why? Why would they? Why would they sell them to someone who's going to sell it to consumers for less profit when they could just sell it direct to the AI data center for more profit?
Well, we'll see how this goes, I guess, because the problem is that you've got to, I guess basically I'm thinking about integrators because you've got to remember, mobile phones have RAM in them. Where are mobile phone manufacturers going to get their RAM from? I guess they go to
Samsung mostly.
I was going to say, I guess they go to Samsung, but
anyway, that's a completely
true
unfounded statement. But I was going to say yes because they go to Samsung because they want it cheap and they know that Samsung nodes don't work.
Yeah, but
So it has to be cheap.
Yeah, suffice to say though is that RAM goes in everything. So I find it hard to believe that Micron are going to go HBM only. I don't know. I find that hard to believe, and I stand to be corrected on it. But yeah, I don't know. I guess time will tell. But there are many much needs.
Oh, interesting.
Huh. So yeah, and I don't know.
The Pixel 10 might actually be Micron.
There you go then.
Interesting.
There's one of them, I suppose, yeah. And it's true, you've got Samsung, and also doubtless there's going to be a lot of people who are using SK Hynix for their integrated memory, but I don't know. But yeah. But yeah, well, this is what I'm saying, Sai, is you say, they're not making consumer stuff at all, but are you telling me that are they not going to make DRAM that goes into servers? Servers need RAM, and not just HBM that goes on the AI chip, but just system RAM. Servers still need RAM in them. Are Micron not going to make RAM chips for servers?
But servers aren't consumer space.
No, but that's my point. They're still making the chips.
Right.
So, I mean,
No one said they were stopping making DRAM.
well, this is my point. If they're making the chips, then someone can buy them, and someone can buy the chips and then say, well, yeah, we're going to sell them to the consumer space, you know.
But only if they sell them.
I guess, yeah.
Because if you've got data center contracts to you to supply RAM modules at 150% of your manufacturing capacity, why would you divert any of that to anyone else unless they're going to pay you more money?
Well,
which then means the consumer price is going to be even higher.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know how much. I don't know how much a data center is paying for a stick of RAM. Like, I don't know if those have massively inflated costs because server, you know. I guess the answer is probably yes, in which case, sure, yeah, you sell it to the data center then. But that's kind of my point, is that they are still making the DRAM chips.
Yeah, and we never said they weren't.
No, but well, when people are saying they won't make consumer stuff at all, it's like, yeah, but they make stuff that someone else could buy and sell to the consumer. You know, there is still the possibility that in the future, like, this isn't the death of Micron memory in your computer. One day in the future, you might have a stick of RAM that has Bob's RAM written on the heat sinks, but Micron chips in it. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
And I understand your perspective as well, but I think a lot of people are assuming that have not considered that is also a possibility.
I just don't. I'm not seeing what your point is, because that's still the Crucial brand not selling to consumers, which is the statement that was made. The Crucial brand is not selling to consumers.
Yes, absolutely. But there are people saying that that Micron won't make consumer stuff, but they will still make stuff which could be sold to another brand, which then sells to consumers.
Okay.
Yeah, but like a lot of people haven't considered that is also a possibility. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not saying that's relevant. I'm just saying that is also a thing that can happen. You know. I think. Yeah.
I was going to say, I don't see how it makes the current situation anything but worse.
No, I agree.
Because certainly a case of, at the very least, it means there's an extra company in there, and that company has costs, and that company has a profit margin, and so on.
Yeah. That one. Yes, no, I agree, and I'm not saying that'll be good or that'll happen. It's just I think the main thing is it's not that Crucial are just going to be like, we just make HBM chips and nothing else anymore, you know.
Yeah.
Or Micron rather, but yeah, we'll see, I guess. But yeah, I think you're right, Si. It could, but it won't, because it'll be 10 times too expensive. I think you are correct. It's just that is a path that is there. Because I think the reason why I'm thinking about this is that from my perspective, we are in an AI bubble. The bubble is going to burst at some point, and the demand for all of this HBM and all of this server space, all of this stuff, the demand for that will suddenly cliff drop. It won't go to zero, obviously, but it will certainly drastically drop. And so when that happens, then what? You know, that's what's on my brain. Is so when I see Micron shutting down the Crucial brand completely, I'm like, you act as if the AI bubble isn't going to pop at some point. Then what? That's my perspective on this. That's what I'm thinking of. And I guess at that point, and this is why when the news for this dropped, what I really wanted to know was how much of Micron's revenue the Crucial division accounted for in, say, 2023, before the AI bubble formed. Because like today, there's not a doubt in my mind that Crucial probably accounted for 1% of their revenue, in which case it's a no-brainer to can that. It's a no-brainer. But obviously, it wasn't always that way. But when I started Googling this, I couldn't find a breakdown that showed how much. I couldn't find a breakdown that showed how much the Crucial revenue was as a component of Micron's income. Because let's say, for example, that in 2023, Crucial accounted for 20% of Micron's revenue. that suddenly makes them a lot more relevant. Not as profitable, obviously, but still relevant.
Can't zoom
But however, and so the thing is, when the AI bubble pops, we're expecting things to return to that kind of state. Maybe not the same, but similar. So if they shut down this week they shut down 1% of their global revenue and no one gave a shit kind of thing. But when the bubble pops, it would have been the equivalent of shutting down maybe 20% of their revenue in 2030. In which case it's a really dumb move, maybe. That's my train of thought here, and I don't know. I'm feeling very misunderstood. That I don't think a lot of people are understanding what I'm getting at here, because when I mentioned this in the Discord, I got the feeling that no one was quite understanding what I was getting at. I put this on at the wrong time, but yeah, I don't know.
I also just think it's not relevant.
I guess, but
because I don't see how it changes any of the things that are presently happening and will happen for at least 2 years.
Sure, but if nothing is going to change in the 2 years, then why are we even talking about it at all? So for my interest, I think, okay, well, nothing, we're kind of stuck in this new there's no RAM meta for the next 12 months, maybe, 12 to 24 months. But so my interest at this point is, what's the exit strategy then? If we're stuck in this for 2 years, what's actually going to get us out of it? Why will it only last for 2 years? What's going to happen in 2 years that gets us out of it? Because if no one, if everyone's bought all the RAM, or maybe it will only last 1 year because next year OpenAI won't buy 40% of the wafer starts and there'll be RAM again. So in that case, we assume that it will last. For about 18 months. So, enough time for people to order wafers and for those wafers to hit the market. So I guess that's why it will end in 18 months, because we work on the assumption that this time next year, OpenAI won't buy all of those wafer starts. But yeah, I don't know. That's the thing. That's what I'm interested in, is what the future actually looks like. The here and now sucks. We've talked about that to death. But okay, so what? What's the solution? What's the answer? What will change any of this?
Why does that cable exist?
This one here?
Yeah.
It connects power from the mainboard to the optical drive.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah.
I thought it was plugging from the mainboard into the mainboard
No.
by going over a plastic case.
Correct,
And
yeah.
I was like, why?
Yeah.
Why is this not just a trace?
Yeah.
But no, I realise how
there's
it's plugging in, not to the mainboard.
That's right, yeah.
Right.
There's a data cable and then this is the power
Yeah.
cable into it. Still a weird cable to be present, but yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh. Many small businesses and maybe YouTube channels will fold if the RAM shortage goes on too long. Maybe. Yes, I did plug in the flex cable. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, again, this is a matter of, once again, if everyone diversify your income. This bums me out. I'm sad because I want to build computers, but building computers is not a significant component of my income, or it is one of many components of my income. So for me, I look at this and be like, oh, that's a shame. Cool, time to focus on another sector that is unaffected by this. Repairs,
Problem
whatever.
is it also affects repairs, certainly.
Probably. I mean,
Not by the way of replacing RAM,
Yeah.
but it probably affects repairs. On one hand, because possibly you can convince people to get stuff fixed where they wouldn't have done before, but also separately, it now means that you're having to repair older trash.
That's possible, yeah. Like some computers that would otherwise be replaced, we now have to repair against my better judgment because the new is now going to be infeasibly expensive.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Brain, engage, words. The Apple silicon-based apples.
Yeah.
What do they use for RAM? Are they LPDDR?
I'm not sure off the top of my head. I see a lot of single channel RAM systems in the future. I sold one this week and I feel bad about it. I rationalized it. I talked about it in the Discord. I said, this feels dirty. I don't like it. But everyone was just like, well, you got to get that bag, dog. You got to make that money. And I'm like, okay, I guess this is what we're doing now, So yeah, and like thankfully, some single channel RAM. It's not the end of the world. Like, it's not devastating. I think the worst part about all of this isn't that single channel or slow RAM gaming rigs are awful, because the fact remains that I always get this screw wrong. I really should have put these in order. The fact remains is that most gaming PCs, they don't super care about RAM speed. And so it's not the end of the world if we put some crap RAM in some gaming PCs. What sucks is that only a month ago we didn't have to. Only a month ago you could put in half decent RAM for not a lot of money. And so that's the bit that sucks, is what we've been reduced to in such a small space of time from where we were. We're now paying through the nose for crap RAM when previously we were getting, decent mid-range kits for pennies,
Yes, LPDDR5 now.
8 gig systems are still being sold by OEMs these days, and 4 gig. You can still buy 4 gigabyte laptops, and it's disgusting. But yeah, OEMs are going to be awful, yeah. Because like I say, I feel bad about a single channel 16 gig computer. At least that was still 16 gigs, But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to see a lot of OEM systems coming up in the future with 8 gigs of RAM in an era where really they ought to be 16 gigs.
I guess the other thing as well is it's really easy to replace RAM.
Yeah, that's another interesting thing.
It's kind of a case of, sure, it's bad now, but in theory, it won't be bad in 2 years, 3 years' time if the person says, oh, now I need 32 gigs and buys a 32 gig kit. In
a couple of years, it's going to be our moneymaker, is upgrading all of these computers that were purchased during the great RAM shortage of 2026. That's future revenue right there. But yeah, in some laptops it's not. Yeah, it's true. For laptops it sucks balls. So yeah.
Yeah. But yes.
Video idea. Single chat. Sorry, carry on.
I was just going to say, to loop back to my openly voiced question about what the Apple Silicon Macs use. Yes, it's LPDDR5X.
Yeah, so apparently it's still a very fast variant of HBR memory stacked on the SoC. Yeah, but HBR, so high bandwidth, that just means it's fast. It doesn't mean it's the same.
HBM.
Oh yeah, HBM, yeah.
The technology is very wide but very slow.
Okay, yes, yeah.
So it has like terabit per pin, but very low clock speed because it's a very wide bus.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
And it has different uses of application.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yes. Is the Steam machine dead?
Oof.
I think it's functionally going to be dead because it's going to launch at like £800 or something obnoxious, and it's going to be £400 computer performance.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I have concerns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It seems like it's going to be way too expensive for its performance profile.
Yeah.
Based on the fact of, I can't remember which interview I was watching, but they were in the room with the Steam people, and the person came out with a price and said, oh, well, hopefully this is going to be £400. Looked at the Steam people.
Yeah.
500, 750.
Yeah.
800. And it was like, okay, 800. And I was like, it's dead.
Yeah. Stop, he's already dead.
But yeah. Just because at that point, for that level of performance, you're always better off buying secondhand at that level of performance.
Yeah.
But it's the case of you're so much better off, and it's just such a shame.
Yeah, that's my big It's my big worry about. Oh God damn it! It's my big worry about. Yeah, like, and again, the Steam frame. I think the Steam frame is just going to be too expensive for what it is.
Apparently, that's going to be $800. Was what I saw somewhere, or $799.
Yeah, and like. And
not being a VR person, but from what I have heard about what they're doing with it, I'm like, that seems about
I think that's about
okay.
right, yeah.
It's not going to sell gangbusters, but it's approximately appropriately priced. If it had been $699, I think they would have wowed a lot of people.
You're going to have to really care about the features it has, like the ultra-low latency wireless streaming, for it to be worth it, because the problem with it is that 90% of what it does you can do with a $450 Quest 3, you know, which is what I touched on, I think, when we were initially talking about. Why did I take that out?
What are you doing?
I need to take these screws back out because I didn't put this on. We spoke about this on the release date, and you know that's one of the big issues. Is just the Quest 3 does most of what the Steam frame can do for what is probably going to be 50% less price wise,
but doesn't involve Meta.
Yeah,
and is that worth paying for?
Maybe.
Is not using Meta worth paying more money?
I would pay
any amount.
I would pay for a side grade to get away from Meta.
Yeah.
If all things were equal, I would buy another headset and sell my Quest 3 just so I didn't have a Quest 3 anymore.
But would you pay more?
I maybe pay a little bit more just because also I know that the Steam frame is superior to the Quest 3, but I don't know how much more. This is something that's still going through my brain. It's just like, I'm thinking about this and I'm thinking, you know, when it comes out, what's the price going to need to be for me to actually say, okay, I'm buying one, you know?
I think to start at ridiculous prices that it's not going to be.
Yeah.
If it came out at $200, everyone would buy one just to have one because it's $200.
Yeah.
If it came out at $300, I think it would be the same.
Yes, absolutely.
At $400, I think only the people who are tangibly interested in VR, even if they don't own a headset, would basically go out and buy one. At $500, that's where it suddenly becomes irrespective of the actual value of the item. I think just viewing it as kind of a general consumer purchase level thing, I think that's about what it would be.
Yeah.
But then, talking about the people in the VR community, I've no idea, because I get the feeling that the VR community is willing to pay more money for a VR headset.
Yes. Yeah.
That is made by someone other than Meta.
I do see a lot of people who don't want to buy a Quest 3 purely because Meta, despite the fact that it is the best option for them right now. Yeah. So, you know, I can sympathise with that. That has not slid on properly. So yeah, I can relate to that. Like, for me, I don't like Meta in the slightest, but it doesn't bother me too much because, you know, like, I log in with a burner account. I have a Meta account that is logged in on my Quest 3 and my Quest 3 only, and has no data on it at all. All they know is that there is someone who owns a Quest 3 that switches on and starts virtual desktop. You know, that's it. So it doesn't bother me that much. However, it would be nice to just get rid of that layer altogether, especially just because, you know, obviously, you know, Mark Zuckerberg is a terrible person in my opinion. So, you know, it would be very nice to get rid of that. So yeah, and I agree with Rurutu. The Steam frame could go up to $1,000 and it would sell out. I think you're right. I don't want it to cost that much, and I'm not going to pay $1,000 for it. But I've got a feeling that it will be like $800 to $900, and people will buy it at that price. And I think that's a really hard sell because, but this is the thing. It's also going to depend on where you're coming from, because if you're in the VR, if you're an old school VR user and you have, say, a Vive or something like that that is lighthouse tracked, then at these kinds of price at like $1,000, you're like, lol, no, I'm going to buy a big screen Beyond 2, which is a vastly superior HMD display, and obviously is, you know, like basically goggles kind of thing, you know. So that's the problem, is they go too expensive, that will happen, but also they can still get perilously close to that area because there's a huge number of people who don't have lighthouses, don't have modern lighthouses, and if they did buy a big screen Beyond 2, they would need to buy lighthouses. And also the other problem at the moment is there's no one who's interested in making lighthouses at the moment, you know. And so that, lighthouse tracking is right now a dead technology. So it's, for me, I think it's a bit sketchy to buy in to a lighthouse tracked setup because it's a dead end. The industry has very clearly made up its mind that the inside out tracking is the way forward, because that's what everyone is doing at this point, you know. So yeah, question is, how much RAM did they pre-buy? This is also an interesting point for the Steam Machine. Yeah. See, part of me was going to say they must have started manufacturing, but then on the other hand, so much of this stuff is just-in-time supply. Why would you stock up on a commodity item when you can just buy it when you need it?
Yeah.
Like, let's face it, no one saw this coming. Within a relevant time frame.
So what usually happens is you don't buy the actual modules, but you sign contracts for intent to purchase a specific volume at a specific cadence.
Yeah.
So you will say, we are starting manufacture of this product on this date, and we will require X number of units a month, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Please deliver on this pattern until Y number of units have been delivered, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And we will pay a unit price of.
Yeah.
And because that is a guaranteed supply with penalties for not accepting delivery and so on, the price you pay is often way below the spot price.
Yeah.
It's in a similar way as to way that, I've no idea if anyone knows about this, the way that gas and oil and so on is sold on the market. You aren't buying that gas, that oil, that grain. You are buying the option on that grain, that oil, whatever, and you're buying the right to use it when that time comes.
Yeah. So
and
the question
and that's the same way as a lot of the RAM supply works.
Yeah. So it's a question of, does that secure you a price at the time?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So
because you're buying a contract, you're buying a price, and you're buying the option to take it or pay penalty for not taking it.
Yeah. So we would assume then that Valve had such a thing for RAM for at least the first wave.
Apparently not. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. That seems wild to me.
Yeah. Apparently not.
That seems wildly short-sighted for a company like Valve that, like, you know, because, you know, we can say sort of, oh, well, they're a scrappy little indie company kind of things. Like, well, no, they've been manufacturing products for a while now, you know, like the Steam Deck and stuff like that. You know, they know how to do manufacturing. This isn't their first rodeo.
Yeah. Did you, in fact, not press the power button?
I think I pressed it too soon after plugging it in.
Is that the optical drive?
Oh, yes, it is. Yeah. I was like, the cooling fan sounds awful, but like that's not a bad bearing. And also, why is the cooling fan spun up so much so soon? But yes, it's a disk in the drive, you're right.
What are these optical drives?
Yeah. Okay. Repairing your storage. Your PS5 was not shut down properly. That's probably because it cut out because it's been overheating. So yeah, basically I'm now just going to turn this on and just leave it on the menu for a bit, I guess. Because yeah, basically I just need to see if it overheats or I guess I'll see if I can start any games on it without it going like you need to sign in, because then if we can get it to do some work. Oh, beep beep beep. What are you doing? Oh, okay, that's just, yeah, it's saying, all right, your PS5 wasn't turned off properly. Oh no, my PS4 controller is at home. And
So why does that matter?
I don't have a controller for it.
What's wrong with the controller that's on the shelf?
I'm fairly certain it doesn't work because I paid £16 for it, and it doesn't function.
I see.
Yes.
Very good. Sorry, I was looking at the controller that you were walking towards, and you're like, oh
Yep.
no, I don't have a controller. I was like, Graham!
Yes. Nope.
Graham!
I paid the principal sum of about £16 for this quote-unquote original PS5 controller, and I'm like, it's obviously not going to be original, but all it has to do is function. And yeah, I'm fairly certain it just doesn't function at all. I haven't managed to make it connect to anything, but maybe if I plug a cable in, it will give me just enough functionality to test this.
5 volts at 1.5 amps.
I don't know. I don't know, man. It feels awful. I was like, God, I hope the real controller feels better than this one does for how much it costs. Oh, okay, it does function. Oh, yeah, I remember now. I think when I tested it, it functions as a PS4 controller, because the reason why I wanted to buy it is that I have a PS4 controller, but a lot of games require a PS5 controller. So it was difficult to test anything, because you try and boot up any game and it goes, this doesn't work with a PS4 controller. So I was like, fine, I'll buy a PS5 controller then. But this one, being a cheap knockoff, is got obviously like the same controller chip in it as an old third-party PS4 controller or something like that. So yeah. Right, what's in the drive then? Media? Nope. I don't know. Okay, let's just see if we can boot up Fortnite. Can't use DualShock 4 wireless controllers to play PS5 games. Ugh. Also, why the hell is the bride from Kill Bill in Fortnite? No internet connection either. Okay, that does nothing then. How do I stop? Menu? I want to shut down that software. Nope. I don't know how to use a PS5. Okay, let's just go home and try and launch something else. We've got Goat Simulator 3. Let's try playing that. Okay, that's the disc in the drive because it's just spilled out. Can't use DualShock 4 wireless. Oh my god, man. You know what? If it will at least go to a main menu, that will do, because it just means that it's rendering something and it will just generate some heat, which is what I need it to do. I don't need it to play a game. I just need it to generate some heat.
Okay.
Will not elaborate. It is rendering. It's rendering something. I will not elaborate. It's Goat Simulator. If you know anything about this game, you would not be surprised. Anyway. Everything is in Fortnite. It's true. Right. However, this is functioning. And we've got some warm air going out the back, so it's the heatsink is working, and it's not immediately spooling up the fan and panicking, so I think I have succeeded in cleaning out this PS5. So yes, can you plug a mouse and keyboard into that? I think you can, but it doesn't solve the issue that games want a PS5 controller specifically, which I think is very annoying, but also kind of makes sense, because part of the point of the PS5 is that the games actually support all of the bells and whistles. And as soon as you have any kind of dialed back experience, then games will just simply not bother with the bells and whistles, because they can't guarantee that the owner will actually have them anyway. This is why the Xbox just doesn't get any cool stuff like a touchpad or something like that. Because, yeah, why would any game bother integrating the touchpad in a meaningful way if they can't guarantee that the user will have the touchpad? So, yeah, it's annoying, but I get it. Ugh. Right. Back scrolling the chat. That's fine. Right. I'm back reading chat, looking for stuff to start another conversation because
I didn't know if it was the chat was instantly going to jump by like 50 messages by clicking on it.
Oh, I see.
Because
yes.
a couple of times it's done that previously,
okay.
where the chat is just paused.
Yes.
You click on the chat and it suddenly goes, "Oh, I'm awake. Hello."
Yes. I was reading the chat and then you sort of clicked on something. I'm like, are you pointing something out to me? What,
Oh no,
what
it's
are you
just because it
referencing?
sometimes goes to sleep.
Very well. Pyro says, looked up 64 gig CL30 on sold items. Latest kit was sold open for 590.
With £20 postage.
£20 postage. God, that's just such a kick in the teeth, isn't it? That's
Especially if it's a box like this.
Yeah.
That will have been like £3 postage.
Yeah. Like, God, that's such a kick in the teeth to charge you 20 quid postage on it as well. Like, even if you're sending it like first class recorded because you're paranoid that someone's going to rob it in the post.
Because it's £600 worth of RAM.
Yeah, it still doesn't cost that much. I mean, I guess maybe they insured it for that much or something because some people, need insurance now. Yeah, I guess. God. All right. Did anything else interesting happen this week that isn't to do with the price of computers? Because, like, we talked about it because it's interesting and it's in the news and it's currently relevant, but also, God, I'm just sick of it all. So yeah.
I mean, I'll give you the good bit of news that I gave you, that I posted a screenshot of in the Discord the other day.
Okay, tell me
more. In the
more.
exclusive chat.
Yeah.
Which you may have seen.
I might have.
I'm going to see if I can find my own messages now in the Discord server. Nope, that's just my profile. Come on.
I see.
But yes, it was basically about Meta's stock price increasing because of rumours of slashing the budget of the metaverse.
I mean, to be honest, I'm astonished it's taken them this long. Like, yeah. I watched one of the reasons why I hold such disdain for Zuckerberg is because there's a lot of tech billionaires where they will have some harebrained idea, but you can suspend your disbelief that they believe in their own hype. Even if it's unrealistic, you can, for a moment, you could believe that they are doing this because they really think they can make it happen, you know. But the thing is like I watched a fascinating video a while back about Mark Zuckerberg and Meta, and I can't remember what it was titled. I'd have to look it up. But basically, it talked about how he has always been a trend chaser, and when you look at the history of Meta and Zuckerberg, he very, very transparently chases whatever is currently trendy and drops it the moment it's not trendy and something else comes along. And the metaverse, or at least Zuckerberg's metaverse and their VR division, is a curious case where it was obviously chasing a trend, but it is astonishing for how long he has chased it for, in the face of it very demonstrably not working and going nowhere and yielding no results. Like, even though the Quest as a VR headset has been relatively successful in the pantheon of VR headsets, considering the price they had set it at, I find it difficult to believe that they've made any meaningful amount of money on the hardware, because how aggressively priced the Quest has always been. And like the metaverse itself, no one has ever given a shit about the metaverse. Even in the niche sector of actual VR users, the metaverse is a joke, because at its best, it has been a joke in comparison to even Second Life, let alone VR chat. And it's always been one of those things where anyone looking at it, even someone who is neck deep in VR, in the VR scene, has looked at that and been like, this is garbage. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You know? So it's wild to me that it has taken them this long to actually start scaling back on the metaverse division. And like obviously now they're plunging all of this into AI because that's the new trend. And you know that is the new trend. And the moment something else comes along, Zuckerberg will immediately grab onto the next thing and be like, "This is the future of the world now," you know, because that's the thing. He does not believe in the hype. He is a trend chaser, and that's why it's very curious as to how much money they put into the Meta VR division in such a strange way. I don't know. So yeah, and yeah, trend chaser can't make a new idea. Yeah, that is a very important thing to note. Is that you know, yeah, I hesitate to say that Meta as a company hasn't innovated anything. Perhaps they have refined some things, but innovation generally implies that they have reinvented the product. And I don't think you can really give them credit for that on anything.
Yeah. No. But I was going to say, the only reason I brought up the stock chart was just to show what it's doing now. This is where it's climbed back up to on Friday. This is when this was when that news was announced. So it jumped reasonably significantly. But there was this huge sell-off here.
Yeah. What was that all about?
Let me just go to...
Oh, yeah.
No.
Browser. Yeah, there we go.
There you go. So this news where there was the 4% jump was here.
Yeah.
But this huge sell-off here was all bad feeling about the fact that Meta was piling on so much debt to buy AI hardware.
Interesting.
All of this was AI hardware sell-off. Effectively, was the amount of debt they were piling on.
When is that though?
This was
We're covering the chart because the thing's in the way. Yeah, sorry.
Get out the way!
Yeah. Oh, that was
that's the end of November. That's the end of October.
Yeah, very
there was
recent.
There was big sell-off here of it because of that sentiment about the balance sheet and about the amount of debt they were taking on.
I wonder if that is investors saying it's too late to be buying up all of this AI stuff. If you're not already, because like again,
well, it's because Meta has nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
Because I'll do a comparison. If you look at Google, Alphabet, see how they've just gone,
yeah.
And here, where there, that's the same point that the big sell-off happened on Meta.
Yeah.
This is where it all went up for Google, and here is where they announced Gemini 3 actually working.
Yeah.
And it went, because Google's products are working.
Yeah.
Whether we like them or not, they function.
Absolutely, yeah.
And certainly limited exposure to Gemini certainly doesn't seem to hallucinate itself into a corner.
Yeah.
They seem to have done a lot of resolving of that. It seems to be a lot more contiguous.
Yeah.
So
and like also
and people like it.
Yeah, and in the pantheon of all of the AI services, like people talk about people talk about Google, people talk about ChatGPT, they talk about Grok, but like who's talking about Meta's AI system?
Yeah.
I don't even know what it's called.
They don't have one. That's more of the point.
Wow.
They have piled on all of this debt and so on
into
to
AI
chase
stuff.
AI stuff, but they don't
have
a thing for it. I presume part of their plan for it was for all of their AI purchasing and product and so on to go into refining Facebook ads and so on.
Yeah.
Because Meta is an advertising company now.
Yeah.
And they have been for 10 years.
Like machine learning for the algorithm, that's a practical use case for AI.
Yeah.
You know, this is the thing, is like I've made no secret of my absolute like disdain is putting it mildly for AI, you know. Like I despise it with every fiber of my being. But when I say that I despise it with every fiber of my being, that is what the current state of the industry is in this landscape of LLMs being forced into everything and down our throats, and the production and pursuit of that causing like these shortages we're seeing and stuff like that. The idea that machine learning as a concept, of just AI and machine learning and stuff, that is not new, and that's not going anywhere, and that is useful. We've had machine learning for decades. There's nothing wrong with that, because we use machine learning to develop a system that can do stuff. And yeah, that's nothing new, and I've got no beef with that. It's
like, you know, the counterpoint I always bring up is the fact of it was some generative AI model came up with 1,300 new materials for, I can't remember what it was, but it was something to do with some sort of drug encapsulation.
Yeah.
Came up with 1,300 new materials for that, and new syntheses for that, specifically in relation to stopping some sort of adverse effect on a drug. And it was a case of 2 of them went straight through to human trials, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of, when we have science done with it, I'm all for it. When it
The problem is a lot of those things, a lot of those examples where people be like, oh, AI made this happen. It's like, okay, but the model for that is not in the same category as ChatGPT and Copilot that's being shoved into everything. You know, these are not the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when everyone's just like, oh, this new camera has AI tracking on it. It's just like, yeah, that's because we used machine learning to develop autofocus and tracking algorithms years ago. You know, these two are not the same thing, and so there's important distinctions to be made there. But I can't remember where I was going with this. But yeah, however, yeah, that's the thing. So, but circling back around again, you know, people who are researching things to do stuff with them, they're producing results with them. Whereas, AI seems to have put a lot of investment into AI and just doesn't actually have any. Oh yeah, that's where I got to this. Yeah, if they had said we've created this new incredible, we've used AI to create this algorithm that has improved targeted advertising by 400%, or you know, we've used AI to create, we've used AI to refine
engagement.
Yeah, that's it.
To refine the engagement feed to make it actually feel better, more useful to you, kind of thing.
Yeah. That would be demonstrating that would be a thing. They created a product there. It might be an integrated product that works underneath the surface, that's under the bonnet, but they still have at least created something. But if they had done that, then they would be talking about it, which apparently they are not.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's also Baidu, the Chinese search engine. Baidu. They were recently talking about how generative AI improved their recommendation engine's response time on queries by something like 13 picoseconds or something like that. And they had said that they could directly track that back to something like a 15% increase in profit on those recommendations or something, because it happened that thousandths faster, and people were that slightly more likely to use their option instead of someone else's option, because they loaded in faster or what have you, and things like that. And I was just like,
and like,
if that's the scales we're talking about as well, though.
Well, that's it. You know, there's conversations to be had out of because of, you know, like, I think there is a conversation to be had about whether any of these products were worth the cost. However, at least there is a product there. Whereas in this case, the reason why Facebook's stock has taken a nosedive in this instance seems to be because they seem to be paying the cost with nothing to show for it.
I mean, you've got Meta AI that seems to be a worse version of ChatGPT or a worse version of Gemini.
Yeah. Interesting.
And as far as I can tell, all the kids are using it, and all of the quote-unquote kids are using for weird role plays.
Yeah.
I say weird role plays.
Not super surprising there. For me, I'm just like, kids are still on Facebook, but I think they are. So
yeah. In my limited social probing of such things, it seems like the only people who aren't on Facebook are the people who were our age.
Millennials. Yeah. Yeah. Man, millennials are such a weird generation for how we interact with tech. But yeah, I think there's a fascinating conversation and case study to be had around that. But perhaps another time. But yeah. All right.
Good Will Hunting.
Is that what that film is about, or?
No, just
Okay.
my boy is wicked smart. How do you like them apples?
Oh, is that a Good Will Hunting reference? I have not seen it, so yeah. Is it good? Should I watch it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did they find Will?
I think Will found himself.
Very well. All right. Okay, that's one fixed PlayStation. It no longer overheats. I guess just to summarize all of this, it was apparently overheating and cutting out. I did challenge the customer to say, "Oh, was it beeping?" Because normally you get a beeping noise from them when they do like emergency shutdowns and stuff, and apparently not. But however, it had a lot of dust in it.
They couldn't hear the beeping because it was stuffed in their duvet.
Yeah. Interestingly, the liquid metal on it didn't look awful. I think there was the usual dry spot in the middle, but I've seen much worse, which I found very interesting. But at any rate, I re-smoothed out the re-smoothed out the liquid metal on it, cleared all the dust out of it, and it seems to be sitting there humming away at the amount of fan noise that I would expect of a PS5 that is functionally idling. So yeah. Good. Right. That's about the 2-hour marker. So, yeah.
That's about us, chaps.
Yeah, I was going to wrap up there because, as I say, I am extremely grateful for Caradog offering to drive me out to my stranded Subaru, and I don't want to take up his entire evening. So, yeah, that's it. Go get the car.
This has been a complaint in English.
Yeah. I think I'm going to try. I want to see if we can make a promise that next week will not just be a rant about the state of the RAM industry, because, like, the problem is just like we're going to spend all week. Everyone's going to spend all week banging on about it, and like, you go to a place where there's any tech people, and people are like, "How out there RAM prices are," and then everyone wants to start having a rant and throw in their 2 pence, and it's just like, God, can we talk about something else now? I know this is what's currently relevant, but. Yeah, so I think we should try and make a pact that next week we don't talk about the state of RAM.
Okay. I'll hold you to that.
All right, we'll try it. Yeah. This has been a rant in English. Yeah, this has been not a 25-minute, but a 2-hour unhinged rant. Although I think we weren't too unhinged today. I like to think that hopefully we approached this from an analytical perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bye.
It's about that time, eh, chaps?
Yeah.
Righto.
See ya. How's the headache? It has passed, thank you. Right, we're clicking again. Goodbye, thanks you for being here and stuff. See you all next time.